In this video, we're talking about the great debate between the ear and the eye. Let's go. G'day, Paul from Small Crown Productions. Welcome to today's video. If you are here for the first time, welcome. And this video is one of the 100 Days of Shakespeare event videos. So if you're not sure what that is about, then you can click a link in the description that will tell you a little bit more about it, or I will click this video link up here and you can jump over there and look at the first video in this series where I explain what this is all about. But today, what I want to do is talk about this idea that there was a massive debate in poetry and playwriting in the Elizabethan period because there was this shift happening from playgoing being an auditory process and moving across to being a visual process. And Andrew Gurr talks about this quite a lot in Playgoing in Shakespeare's London, which is a great book. So if you're interested in Shakespeare, definitely recommend that you pick up that book. Playgoing in its earliest forms was a form of poetry. It was written as an auditory process. Most of the population were illiterate. You would go to the play and you would hear it. You would listen to the players. When people would go to church, they went to listen and hear a sermon. They would hear about the Word of God because most of them couldn't read. So as playgoing starts to move out of the church and become more secularized, and it starts to become more popular with the general public, as an actor and a writer, like Shakespeare was, you're going to be seeing the audience reactions and seeing what they react to. And just like anyone today that's producing, you are going to do more of what's working. Well, what was working? The reactions were to the things that were visual, that not only could affect your hearing that you heard, but the things that made you feel because of what you could see. So more elaborate scenery, costumes, gunfire, sword fights, all of these things created this more visual feast for the playgoers to be taken in by. But a lot of the writers were raised in this philosophy that the writing itself was an art and that there was, technicality to the writing and skill to the writing. And they held on to this idea that that should be revered. So a lot of the playwrights who were raised in this kind of structure and education were a bit dirty that the playgoing was becoming more of a visual feast. Now, this debate had been going on for a long time. Plautus, who was one of the original Latin playwrights, one of the classic writers that the Elizabethan studies, he also uses this difference of auditors and spectators in his writing. So it's not a new concept, but it is one that really came to a head because of the visual nature that was changing with the plays at that time. Now, one of the Elizabethan playwrights who was very opposed to this, apparently, was Ben Jonson. And in 1626, this is what he wrote. "Would you were come to hear, not see a play? Though we his actors must provide for those who are our guests, here in the way of shows, the Maker hath not so. He'll have you wise much rather by your ears than by your eyes." So he was one that was very much at odds with this change and this shift to a visual medium, and that what you saw seemed more important than what you heard. And like many of the things that the Elizabethan playwrights were discussing amongst themselves, they put it into their writing. And so you actually see clues about this in the plays that they wrote, in the epilogues, in the commentary from some of the players. Shakespeare in Hamlet uses Hamlet to actually talk to the players that come to the castle and describes to them the type of action he wants, to not overplay it. He talks about the sense of what the audience will respond to. So, and in A Midsummer Night's Dream, Bottom wakes up from his dream and has these immortal lines, if you know the play, "The eye of man hath not heard, nor the ear of man hath not seen." And it's this play on words to kind of speak to this change that's happening, and it's actually a quote from something else that Shakespeare has deliberately twisted. It would have been a reference that the people of the time knew and understood that change that he had made for that. So this is a conversation that was happening quite a lot between the playwrights all the way through the period. But this was a shift so strong in the way that plays were being written, because not only did we see this shift happening here, we also saw a shift in the structure of plays that we'd not seen before. So for a very long time, plays had been written to be performed in the sense that they were taking place in a single location in a single day. And it's in this period we start to see plays extend beyond a single region to other countries in the same play and other time zones in the play. Think about Henry V's opening monologue, "Oh, for a Muse of Fire," and that whole monologue talking about the situation that the audience are about to see, that it will be, see these three men as 1,000 and see this bare piece of stage as this grand castle and this kind of concept, kind of speaking to the fact that they know they can't present the truth, but you need to use your imagination to help fill in the gaps. So these were a couple of major shifts that were happening throughout this period, and this sense of moving from an auditory process to a visual process was one of them. And for me, I think it's just fascinating to see the shift in theatre, playgoing and playwriting in this time. So I think the battle still rages. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Is it the ear or the eye that's the most important? I'll see you on the next one.